Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. So in this episode, we're gonna talk again about Striker Eureka, and we're gonna try to evaluate the hero even better. So not only talk about the hero itself, but also how does he improve the performance of your match. And of course, this video we're gonna do exclusively with battle reports, which we will gonna take apart. So let's start at the point in which we're gonna look at the first battle, and we have to look at the opponent. So all battles in this video will gonna be exclusively against Nag. Now of course you see now the battle result, and I don't want to censor it, but let's have a look at the stats because it's really important to see where we are starting and to explain a bit more why actually Striker Eureka is a full replacement of Optimus Prime, as is exactly the target. He's exactly targeting Optimus Prime. So he has a Gypsy level 7, a Polyc 5 just like me, and an Optimus a 7. So I have a 7, a 7 and a 5, so just like that. But we have to look at the stats because this is very important to highlight exactly, of course, the first part of Eureka, which is actually the indestructible buff, and also to highlight why Striker is actually better than Optimus Prime. So if we have a look at the stats, now you see this is very well balanced, and not to mention look at the damage decrease and the damage increase, which is absolutely best. So let's jump into the battle report because we want to talk about this. Let's let the battle report run and let's highlight kind of Optimus Prime right here versus Striker Eureka. Now Optimus Prime is a great hero, and in the first round there's actually not a huge difference, not that huge. He has the huge massive indestructible buff, but because he doesn't have this extra proc which comes up round 2, he extremely heavily relies on the other two heroes, in this case are Gypsy and Polyc, to perform at maximum rate. So in other words, he heavily relies on Gypsy, on his Gypsy level 7, to kill as many units as possible and to proc as fast as possible. What we want to do right now, we're gonna fast forward this slowly towards the second round, because this is exactly the crucial moment right here, because you want to see exactly what happens. I mean, what's the status when the round 2 starts, so how my slots are looking like versus the opponent, and then we start the round number 2 in order to highlight exactly what happens if this indestructible buff drops, which means, in other words, the Striker Eureka is going to give you 2 rounds of this indestructible buff. So yeah, beautiful people, this is the status quo of the second round, aka when his Optimus Prime will gonna drop the shield, and up this moment it's very crucial to see what happens. He obviously had a very nice performance from his heroes, but now up run number 2 he has no indestructible buff. Now sure, of course, Optimus Prime can proc, but doesn't change the fact that he no longer has the indestructible buff, which actually allows me to turn the battle around. And this exactly right here is the best way to highlight why Striker Eureka is actually even better than Optimus Prime, and the Optimus Prime is the only hero which gets targeted by Striker Eureka. Yeah, beautiful people, we saw the status quo, we also saw how he kind of works, but now let's see Striker Eureka within a match. Now of course we have to pay attention to these small details, like what are the other two heroes actually doing when they are proccing. Are they proccing at the beginning of a battle? Are they proccing kind of towards the end of the battle, which is a bit useless? Of course the crits, of course the dodges. So when we evaluate these battles, we have to look for that also. So now we're gonna go for Striker Eureka versus Shinji, my Shinji, which is level 7. Of course it's an unfair battle, and of course I'm gonna get Striker Eureka level 7 and fight against Shinji, that's no question. But it doesn't change the fact that Striker's target is not actually Shinji. So when we look at this battle report, what you can see here, you don't necessarily have to look at this right here, how many times Striker Eureka kind of proc. I mean, this is luck or no luck. But let's compare the other two heroes. So if you look my Gypsy level 7 versus his Gypsy level 7, it's obvious that my Gypsy performed way better simply because he most likely procced way earlier in the battle and hit more stronger. A side note here, you see Polek and why he is so great. He, both of us having him at level 5, and you see how consistent his performance is. So now let's look at the second battle report, in which actually his overall march would slightly perform better, but we still see actually here where the difference is, and the difference is massively Gypsy. So we cannot simply ignore this. We cannot say this is Striker Eureka's fault. No, it's not. You see the performance of my Gypsy. So now let's go one step further. We want to implement Striker Eureka into the plain march, but again we have the same issue. We have to evaluate the whole march, and you all know by now we only have one diva in the plain march, and that diva's name is actually Maximo. So let's have a look at some battle reports. So I hit him with Striker Eureka on plains versus his tanks. Now I got some pretty good results here, but of course we have to pick one of these battles because I want to highlight exactly what else happened in this battle and not just only the values here. Now you see a strong 32T from Maximo, but honestly speaking, you're gonna see this in the video later on, that actually my Maximo could have performed way better. Even though Nag is a very strong player, and you already saw this stats. Now this is a bit even worse example. So let's take this best battle report and let's see exactly what happened here. And when I told you I could have won here, yes, then let me show you exactly why. Now of course, when we talk about the planes, yeah, Maximo is the diva right here. So we have to really pay attention if actually Maximo is gonna hit for my heavy trooper, which is extremely important. And of course, later on in the battle, there are some key moments which are very important. Question is that, of course, slots number 4, 5, 6, if Maximo procs from there, and how many units do I actually have from them. So of course we're gonna see right here that Mr. Maximo will gonna proc for my heavy trooper, and the damage is, yeah, pretty severe to be honest. But then at this point we have slots 1, 2, 3, and we can only kind of expect only Striker Eureka to actually do some hits with his level 5. But what we have to pay attention is actually, let's have a look at my slot number 4 and see how many units will I have by the time I am allowed to hit from slot number 4. And you're gonna soon see right now his Gypsy. He is so lucky, and he's gonna proc from there, and he was gonna pretty much demolish my slot number 4, which is, yes, this is not the fault from Striker Eureka, of course. This is just simple luck, and of course his Gypsy is a level 7. Let's talk a bit in general about the planes, because I don't know if TOPWAR is actually aware of this, but we don't need more than 9 heroes PvP wise. We don't need that. And due to the heavy trooper, you actually have one hero which is absolutely set in stone and is simply locked. Yeah, you guessed it, that's Mr. Maximo. So my honest opinion, yeah, I will gonna keep saying you this, at one point they'll most likely realize this, and what they're gonna do, they're gonna pick up Maximo and they're gonna apply a very nice shadow nerf. So how will they nerf him? They most likely gonna look first, okay, maybe we can slightly reduce his chance of hitting from the heavy trooper, which massively of course affects my performance. And then they can go actually even 2 steps further. When my slot number 4, which is the first time Maximo after the heavy trooper is allowed to hit, he's gonna hit a row. Now you saw the heavy trooper actually hit the left row. Now you see this is simply bad luck, because the slot number 4, even with lower troops, he actually hits again the left side, which is a massive effect in the overall plane performance. And of course they can go one step further and say, okay, he hit like 2 times that row. The third time, which is aka slot number 6, let's reduce slightly the chance that he actually hits another row. So there's plenty of opportunity. Of course, if they're gonna do this, and they're most likely gonna do this, because there is no point to introduce an alternative for Maximo, while Maximo is extremely wild right now. So let's do a very short recapitulation on this. So if you are playing tanks and planes, and if you have only one match, let's say the tanks, and if you have Shinji, you don't need to hurry with Striker. if you do want to build the second match, either the tanks or the planes, yes, you're gonna need Striker. When it comes down to the direct comparison between Shinji and Striker, yes, of course, Shinji is not the target right here. And we're gonna do a comparison in another video because I really have to take a few more factors in consideration. So we're gonna do a separate video on that. And of course, I'll try my best to find somebody which got Barbie to a level, exclusive level 5, which is, yeah, by the way, pointless. And to do a test on that, Striker Eureka versus Barbie. But again, we are not testing Barbie versus Striker. We're actually testing a march which contains Striker versus a march which contains Barbie, so we really have to pay attention to the details. So guys, don't forget to support the channel. Don't forget to like if you reach this point in the video, and yeah, don't forget to see me in the next episode.